Faith Healer is a fantastic rock and roll band spearheaded by Jessica Jalbert of Edmonton, Alberta. With her close collaborator, Montreal's Renee Wilson, Jalbert created a wondrous new Faith Healer album called Try, which is out now via Mint Records and is one of my favorite releases of 2017. Earlier this fall, Jessica, Renee, and I met in Toronto for an extensive and revealing discussion about Faith Healer and Try. Part of the Entertainment One podcast network and sponsored by FreshBooks, HelloFresh Canada, Pizza Trocadero, The Bookshelf, Planet Bean Coffee, and Granddad's Donuts, this is Faith Healer on the 371st episode of Creative Control with your host, me, Vish Khanna. Faith Healer, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks
No
for having
problem.
us.
Thanks for being on the show. Renee, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well. And Jessica?
I'm good too, thanks.
Now you're here in Toronto from Edmonton?
Yes, we started the trip off in Edmonton.
Right, that's where you live.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's where my wife is from.
Oh, really?
So
Oh,
I go to
cool.
Edmonton kind of once a year.
Oh, nice.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very
Awesome.
cool.
I like Edmonton.
Yeah.
Do
I
you like it?
too. Yeah. I like it primarily because that's where my family is, but there's
Right.
a lot of other really good things about Edmonton. So I like it. I think it's totally fine.
Do you think it gets a bad rap?
I think I think Edmonton thinks it gets a bad rap.
Right.
It's got such a like underdog kind of feel to it, it's this weird thing. I shouldn't even.
Yeah, there's a condition in Edmonton.
No, I'm
about
aware of
being
it.
an underdog,
Yeah.
I think, and it's like having a lack of awareness of the rest of Canada, the ROC as we call it.
Right.
I've never.
But that's
heard
what we
that
call it
before.
in Quebec.
Oh, okay.
because
ROC.
French.
Right, of course. Right.
Of course, because it's a different country, right?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
But what were we saying about? Oh yeah, Edmonton. There's just
Yeah, there's this-
people. There's a lack of awareness of other cities other than Calgary, which is very similar in size.
Yeah.
And there's like this who's the better city sort of like competitive sort of spirit, which carries over to competing with the rest of Canada. But like not understanding why, because Edmonton's funny. It like feels like a city.
It is, yeah.
It's very urban, I guess, and same with Calgary. But they're really just two small cities.
I've spent
in
more.
a sea of
Yes, it's true.
prairies.
I've spent more time in Edmonton than Calgary, but I do think, and that might make me biased, but I prefer Edmonton to Calgary.
Same. No, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. I feel
Again,
more
we all have a
comfortable.
bias here,
Yeah.
but there's something weird about. When I get to Calgary, I feel weird.
I feel out of place in Calgary. When I'm there, I'm like, I don't belong here.
Yes, yes, exactly. So that's where I'm at too. Do you find this, Renee?
Well, I've gotten to know Calgary a bit, and I think I was enamored by Calgary a little bit initially because
Right.
I was like, because Calgary is a totally different city than Edmonton. Also,
There's more money. There's more
Yeah.
infrastructure.
It offers more what big cities offer
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
Edmonton.
Yes.
Other than giant mall, right? No, that's a very suburban thing.
I will say, though, that every time I've played Calgary for the past 2 years, with the exception of the Sled Island Music Festival, every single time I've been underpaid my guarantee by promoters.
Oh,
and
weird.
Have had to fight tooth and nail.
Different clubs?
Yeah, different clubs.
Oh, maybe that's
it's a Calgary
thing.
thing.
Yeah. So that's my feeling about Calgary.
Okay.
Right
I gotta
now, 'cause
say-
it happened like a week ago, too.
I want
Oh,
to say
man.
that the last time I was back in
That's-
Edmonton, I liked it more than
Yeah.
typically. Just
Oh, because where do you live in Montreal?
I live in Montreal.
Right,
Exactly.
of course,
But
okay.
I'm from Edmonton.
Right.
That's where
You're
I
from
spent
there
most of
originally.
my life.
I see. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Well, it's nice to have you on the show. We're going to talk about your new album, Try, in just a moment. But I want to go back to the period just before you started conceiving of Try, because you made a record called Cosmic Troubles.
Mhm.
And it was what? How? I don't know how to describe it without insulting anyone. No, that's a bad way to start.
Pure
Did you
shit.
want to differentiate yourselves making Try from what you had made with Cosmic Troubles? That was what I was trying to say. There was no
Yeah,
disparagement
I
for
think
that
so.
last record.
No. Yeah, we wanted to improve upon it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And
refine things a
yes,
little?
Yeah, exactly. Kind
yeah.
of rein it in. And Renee and I talked about this before. Like the records that we've done together have always sort of been like landmark setup records. Like
Yeah.
Renee's first time, my first record, just as Jessica Jalbert, was recorded. It was the first album Renee recorded.
Okay.
So
Ever.
It was him like learning how to use
at
the
a studio. I had started renting a studio space at the time.
Yeah.
And so it was the first
This is in
thing-
Montreal?
No, this is in Edmonton.
Oh,
in
that in Edmonton,
2010.
okay.
11. Yeah.
11?
10 and 11.
10,
yeah.
11,
yeah.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so then after that, Cosmic Troubles was the first one that he recorded with all of his own flashy new equipment or old equipment, and in his home studio.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
you're saying Cosmic Troubles was.
Yes, exactly.
And then this one.
And then this one is kind of like
Ah,
your
Well, this is the way you see it because, it's funny the way I see this
yeah.
because you see it that way because you come into my studio.
Well, yeah, no, I know the
I'm
new one
building it up
isn't like
over
your
time.
new studio. Isn't like a landmark for your new studio, but we've talked about this before.
No,
the
but I
first
agree.
two.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's a tendency
I just
when
see
you
it
have
that
something
way.
new and you're trying to make something that you shoot for the moon and you do a lot of stuff to try to see what you're capable of, what your limitations are in the space. Did that happen with that record, Cosmic Troubles? Were you
Yes.
just adding
I think so.
many layers to things and trying to see how far you could push a song?
Yeah, I guess so. The way I see it is this: I've been making records for like 10 years, maybe. That's when I first started recording, and like you just learn things about your trade like periodically, or as you like go through it.
Right.
What's the word for that?
Progress.
Experience?
Yeah. Basic
Just
knowledge
chronological.
acquisition.
Like I just feel like at the time I made Cosmic Troubles, in my mind I was like doing all the things that I should do to make what I considered a finished record.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you kind of after releasing a record, I feel like I always learn a bit more about what it actually, because you get the effect of actually releasing it, and you
Yes.
see how it resonates with people if there's a reaction, and you can like gauge what you did right and wrong on the record based on how popular it is really.
Well,
I guess
In a way,
That's
and,
something.
like the reaction to your friends, even just like people's reaction.
You
in
take
general.
external considerations more seriously than others might. Maybe.
Well, maybe.
Like
I
you take
think-
it to heart. If someone says something is critical or positive, either way, you try to take something from that feedback. Is that fair?
Well, it's just I think it's very personal.
Yes.
But it's and after you release something too, you kind of it's official. Like you've made your statement, and so at that point, people can like judge you. I guess
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
can judge you.
Sure.
But I think you're pretty choosy about which opinions you do take to heart.
It's true, and I just want to say like at the time of that record,
Yeah.
it felt like I was doing all I could, and after it came out and everything rolled out, I just saw where it could be improved. Like you just get better.
Sure.
I think you
You hear
it's
the
just-
mistakes.
It's part of growing,
Right.
and just learning in general.
Right.
Just looking back on previous work.
But I feel like with Cosmic Troubles, we were adding a lot because we were like figuring out the things we can do, even doing like different effects with the tape delay and stuff like that. We kind of maximized it a little bit more than we did for Try.
You mean with overdubs and stuff.
Overdubs, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I guess it's got more of a. It's more like of a mix, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know.
Do you think?
Well,
it's-
it might be. I mean, I think I didn't mean to go so
No,
far
It's fine. I just
deeply into the past. I just wondered if it does sound like in
lack
making Try, it does sound like Try is a reflection of both your response to Cosmic Troubles and maybe the way it was received. On some level, you use
sure.
the whole of that experience. The
Mm-hmm.
making the record, having it go out into the world, trying to play it live, and then that likely, as it often does, will feed into what you do next. And that's what where I was going with this question.
We took it off the rails a little bit.
No, I didn't mean to offend you or make you second guess what you had done. I just
no,
wondered-
I'm just thinking about it now. Really,
Of course.
and I think that it's true to like I don't know, just look back. And that I want to say too, between making that and Try, I've made a lot of records, and so it's natural that like it would be better, I guess, at this point. Because I guess we both have refined our skills.
Absolutely. That's
since
what
then.
happens. Yeah.
Years ago.
As you get older, as you try new things.
The hope is that it's better.
The hope is that
It's
better.
this record's fantastic.
Thank you.
Everyone, I love this record. My family loves this record. I've been playing it in the house. My son is a big fan. I like all the iconography inside, which is,
Thank you.
I think it's mostly all icons someone could find on their computer under symbols.
No, each one is hand drawn.
Is it each?
Those are
So you have
craft.
the shrugging sort of symbol that people use on Twitter, and you've got even the cover is the winky emoji.
Yeah.
What
emoticon.
emoticon? Sorry, emoticon. I apologize.
It's actually just a semicolon.
It's just a semicolon, but it has taken on a whole new meaning. It's
Yeah.
the smiley face winky thing. What is going on with the album artwork here in terms of how it relates to what you were doing with the songs, I suppose? Does anyone want to comment on that?
Well, the album artwork's pretty basic, and it was just an idea that, or I mean, the cover, I guess, was pretty basic, and it was really just an idea that we had off the bat because I wanted to call the album "Try" with a winky face because I thought that was funny, and then we just sort of went from there with the artwork. But it's nice
Yeah,
and
but
clean.
that's what birthed it. I feel like there's the concept behind the artwork is that it's like the music art. Our tastes are so dated. We have these like we like classic rock and stuff.
Yes.
And old music, and so there's something of a like I feel self-conscious about that. I think so.
Yeah.
You feel
And-
self-conscious about liking older things?
Oh, of course, because I feel like I don't know. It's just
Not with the times.
It's
Sure.
being not with the times has its setbacks.
And it's really cheesy to be so
devoted.
devoted
To
to the
nostalgia
past.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
But are
It's
you
just-
so there's just a distinction here? Are you nostalgic for something? Nostalgia means you experience something that you miss. I
true.
think really, but it sounds like you're more pining for a different time before you
Sure.
existed.
So I want to say the artwork is supposed to be like a little bit of a contrast to the music, but even the music is supposed to sound a bit more modern.
How would you categorize? We're going to get into it song by song, but is there an overall thing you would say about the music? Because over breakfast today, as I say, I've been playing your record in my house since I received a copy of it, and my wife will periodically say, "What is this?" And I'll say, "It's that Faith Healer record we've been listening to again." And she'll be like, "Oh yeah, right. It kind of sounds like something from like the 70s." And I say, "Yeah, it does have a bit of that." So it has taken at least one listener whom you don't know, but is an Edmontonian, I should
Right.
say.
Right.
Born and raised in Edmonton. She picked up on kind of the 70s vibe.
Yeah, it's definitely there. I mean, those are the records that we listen
Yeah,
to.
it just comes across in our natural musicianship.
Yeah,
know
because
what I
of
mean?
probably where we both came from, since teenagers. Like, I was obsessed with Guitar World magazine and would just put pictures of Jimi Hendrix up on my wall and stuff
Right.
like that. And Renee comes from the same kind of area.
Yeah.
We're just both really like rock and roll.
Yeah, we like rock and roll.
And
Okay.
the heyday of rock and
that's
roll
clear.
is the 70s.
Right.
So-
Yeah, the guitar
Some
playing.
might say.
The guitar playing on this record's fantastic, by the way. I don't know who is mostly responsible, but there's a solo on, and we'll get to it eventually, but there's a solo on, I think it's Suffering Creature. Unbelievable.
Oh,
That's
yes,
Rennie,
I think
yeah.
about that
Ripper.
solo.
That's just a ripper. It's amazing.
Bites your
I'm not a
head
guitar
off.
solo guy normally, but I was like, holy Lord. Kind of reminds me of
Thank
like
you.
mid-60s, like one of the guys Dylan would have gotten in, like,
Right.
is it Paul Butterfield who played I'm blanking on my people. But anyway, it's an amazing guitar solo. Just fantastic. Anyway, we'll get to this. Okay, I think let's start. I want to
Let's
talk
get
about
into it.
where these songs came from. So let's begin at the beginning. This is a wonderful song. Begins with a busy signal on the old school telephone. It's called And Waiting.
The song looks, it's fine, but I felt crazy. The feeling of
Yeah, so it's the first song on the album. It's the first song that I wrote for the record, actually, which I just wrote on piano, and it's also the first song I brought to the table when I got to Rennie's studio to work on it. But then it ended up, we really liked the first version of it that we recorded. It sounded just really like really hot, I guess, like hissy and
It sounded vintage.
it sounded
Right.
very
But
vintage.
It had a
It was a bit out of
It was
tune
distorted
and
and
distorted and
your guitar amp had this like ringing frequency that was whistling like
yeah.
it was like a really high squeal they could hear in the
Uh-huh.
recording. It
And
was
we were kind of
interesting.
we were kind of amped on that sound, and we were wondering if that was the direction like the rest of the record was going to take. But then we took a break from that song, and it ended up actually being the very last one that we finished.
Oh.
Because anytime we would like finish another song or something, we'd be like,
Like, oh, we
yeah,
gotta
we
deal
still
with
have to
that."
deal with waiting. Let's just deal with it later.
And it had some janky qualities from the get-go too. Like just
Yeah.
in the bed, like the bed track that we recorded. And so
It
it was
was our
either
test.
reattempt it
Yeah.
or just like fix this unfixable thing.
Right.
Which it started to seem unfixable
Yeah.
as we progressed, as better material in our minds came about.
Yeah, we kind of started raising the bar throughout the record, and then we're like, oh, well, we need to raise the bar for waiting as well then. And the last night, when we finished recording this one, couldn't get the vocals right, and we just turned all the lights off in the studio, and I just lay on the floor, and the whole song I'm just laying on the floor singing.
That
Like,
happened
Yeah.
for that song.
Yeah.
I have actually
It does
done
have a
the-
kind of reclined feeling,
Yeah,
if I
because
will.
that's what I was like. I don't know how the fuck to get the sound right.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
it sounds so like a little. It sounded more twee than I wanted. I wanted to sound a little bit like weary or something. but
yes.
I couldn't get there until I was just genuinely weary.
Yes.
So is its placement at the top of the record a reflection of your yes, we finally got it done, or do you think it's like as a kicker, as to kick off the record?
Well,
I'm
I
just
think this is not the single of. It's not a single on this record.
It's
at
not a
least
single?
so far.
Oh,
and I think that it
okay.
should be.
I think so too.
Because I just thought it's like the most strong lead single on the record, and so that's why it should be the first song. I mean, that's why I
Yeah.
thought the track
We
listing.
disagreed about the
we
track
disagreed
listing.
about the track
Yeah.
listing a bit, but it wasn't a big deal either.
Sure,
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
sequencing can be a
Sequence.
tricky
Once
one.
we ended up with this sequence, I think we were both like, yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, exactly. But I really like that song personally as a single, and it never got put out as a single, which is fine.
It's
Or it
not
might-
too late.
Yeah,
It's
we
not
might
too
put
late.
it as
The
a single
album
in
is
the
still
future.
yeah.
We've talked about doing that, but yeah, exactly. It's
It's
just the
wonderful.
first song. It's just it's an earworm kind of thing.
But nothing is as good as the feeling of waiting and waiting.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about sort of temporality a few moments ago, time. Things are different now. There's been a few artists who have been singing about this notion of not needing to be patient for things anymore. You just get whatever you want whenever you want it. If you want to watch a movie, you just tell your phone and the phone finds it for you. You don't have to wait.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going for here?
In a sense, yes. I mean, like, I just basically what the meaning I sort of had, the concept in my head that got me writing a song about like that was just the fact that the reality of things always seemed to be so much more either disappointing or underwhelming or overwhelming or whatever, never on par with what you think they're going to be.
That's true.
And you always kind of imagine that, you know, you see somebody that you know, like, you're like, oh, I like that person, you know, and then you're like, you blow it up in your head, either positive or negative, and then in reality is just so much more.
It's better to want things than to actually.
The
It's better to want things. Anticipation is great.
Anticipation is
yeah.
better than you order something you order a record and
Yeah.
you're very excited when
Yeah.
you hit order, on
Once
your
you have
computer, and then
it.
you get it. You're like, oh, yeah, I got it.
Exactly.
You
I
put it on the
have
shelf.
Less
Yeah.
money now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just have less money.
Yeah.
The manifestation of me having less money has arrived.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
Yeah.
anticipation is just like it's like hope, or it's like it's like it's very energetic to be anticipating something. I think.
So we've gone from the waiting is the hardest part, as Tom Petty might have said, to
Mm-hmm.
you relishing the notion of waiting.
Yeah,
It actually is the best part.
I think so.
Okay.
I'll talk to him about that later.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next song, which is a glorious song. It's called Light of Loving, or LOL.
LOL.
This is a wondrous display, I think, of lyricism, and the song itself is just a really cool sonic experimentation type thing. Where did this one come from, per se?
Well, it started off. I'll start these because
Yeah, it's fine. You start
and
it.
then you take it
I
up.
can add my 2 bits.
But when I first wrote this song, I was looking for something to perform solo for this thing very last minute that I was playing last year, and I was like, I should just write some kind of drone song. And I had been sitting on these particular lyrics for a while, so I wrote this like just riff. Anyway, you can edit that out. But
I hear it in the recording.
anyway, yeah, you can sort of hear it. But
You can hear it. I'm just.
yeah.
No, the riff is, that riff is the riff in the song.
But it gets a little bit kind of bluesed up
Yes.
by the lead guitar. But anyway, so I just needed some lyrics to sing over top of a very basic kind of drone type thing because I needed to perform a show and I didn't have time to write a song. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where that came from. But so the lyrics and the music I would say weren't originally planned to be together
Oh.
in that way.
I
I
see.
didn't know what I was going to do with those lyrics, but
Like much of the album, it's very haphazard.
it's haphazard.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I like the way it comes together because I mean the lyrics are also, pretty psychedelic or whatever.
The motif, the central motif is, and if I focus on the flower,
Yeah.
that's very psychedelic.
Yeah, it's psychedelic, exactly. And so I think it worked out really well that we ended up turning it into this MC5 jam.
Yeah, it did. That's right. It does have that. So yeah, it has a bit of that, I guess, mid to late '60s thing, but then also, yeah, weirdly punk rock somehow.
But
we
did
were
listen
listening to Wipers.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
before
the Wipers are great.
We were recording this song, and then we were like, we need a break. We needed some inspiration. We went downstairs, listened to Wipers, and then went back upstairs and
Nice.
finished it.
We're like,
So-
let's do a jam like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I had, so we jam. This song was born out of like a jam
Uh-huh.
that we had, because a lot of this record, truth be told, was spent just like, kind of just trying to come up with a spark for inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in general, like, because we were kind of
Flying by the seat
Troubled.
of our pants. Yeah, it was unprepared.
Oh, really? You
Yeah,
weren't
yeah,
really
yeah.
ready. Is it just? I mean, the primary songwriting is between the two of you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Jess, you write the lyrics.
Yeah, I write the lyrics, and then I'll
And
come
the
in with a
chords.
chord structure, and
then it'll get rearranged in
we'll
to
do-
some
yeah.
degree.
Exactly.
And do you have
Lots
a-
or a little.
Is there a band on this record per se? Like who's
No.
playing
Just us.
It's just us.
who's doing what? What do you do?
Just guitar, vocals,
and keyboards.
keyboards
Keyboards.
this album as well. But none
They're
of the
mixed.
fancy stuff.
And Renee?
I do drums, bass, and guitar,
And vocals.
and then
and keyboards.
all the other keyboard stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the mixing, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, which I feel like is an instrument
Oh yeah.
on
for
this
sure.
record. So this record is mixed all live.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So it's like each bounce is like a live pass
oh,
through
is
the
it?
song.
You
and
can't
so,
fix it. That's it. It's done.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like
Once
a
you have that
commitment.
bounce, you can.
Okay.
But all the effects sends and stuff like this are done like live on the console.
Right.
So it has this like flow to it.
You especially hear it in this song, I think.
Oh,
The,
okay.
like live mixing.
Oh, and yeah. So the thing about Light of Loving is it's kind of like a dub.
LOL.
LOL, yes. We did this jam and we just recorded this 6-minute thing or 7-minute jam, and we're like, this is cool. We really liked it. We added guitars that day, like the bluesy kind of guitar that I did.
Right.
I just seriously just sat down and did the first thing that came to my mind.
Another virtuoso performance. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It was, I think that's the first take.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I've already told you you're good. You don't have to first take me now.
It's true though.
He will continue to
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
you he's good too.
No,
I'm
it's
just being modest.
it's a fantastic song. This
No, but I mean the thing is this: it's like an improvised kind of idea in essence. So when I sat down and played the guitar, it was just supposed to be like much of the record. We did this kind of thing a bunch, where we would just record like
Whatever we were
improvised
playing.
ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing on organ on the Hammond, and then and we did just like a few takes of that. This is all, and it's recorded digitally, so we could just have
Oh,
as
it's
many takes.
some of these songs they're not live off the floor. Oh no, they couldn't be. You're not
Yeah,
all
we
playing
piece them
everything
together,
right,
like-
right.
But
Like
some of them are
piecemeal.
tape and some of them are digital, or
Okay.
some
It's a
aspects
mix.
are.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a gorgeous song.
Yeah, but we were
Thank you.
trying to go for, I want to say conceptually, much like the artwork, it's like going for this vintage modern thing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because we're so old school, we've talked about this, like amongst ourselves,
Yes.
about being like getting old and this, like being nostalgia. I despise nostalgia in a way, even though I'm like the biggest nostalgic person. Like, you don't want to come into my
But again,
house.
just to my point, earlier, is it nostalgia or is it time travel?
It's time travel. It's time
I'm
travel. But it's my
trying to make
parents-
that distinction more and more nowadays.
It's my
Yeah.
parents' nostalgia passed on to me, and
No, it's your parents' experience.
my parents' experience.
Yeah, 'cause
passed on
they
to
don't
you.
give
But
a
you're
crap
saying
about
they
it anymore.
how do you define it?
So in
It's missing something?
no, I think for nostalgia, I would think, and I'm not a scientist or a doctor. I don't know for sure, but I would think when you're nostalgic, it's for something you've experienced yourself.
Right, but
Or-
my parents are like
Yes.
that, right? They're nostalgic for their
Right.
own
So now
times.
you're weirdly nostalgic for their nostalgia.
Exactly.
That's weird.
It's like secondhand nostalgia.
Right. That is odd. I think.
I mean, I've thought about this a fair
Sure.
amount. I'm like, why am I this way? Why do I love records and stuff? Blah 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 blah.
Well, I think sometimes you look to the past, whether it's your past or someone else's past, because you are not totally comfortable with your present.
Sure. But it's an attempt to really be more comfortable with the present.
No,
Putting
absolutely.
out a record that's got more of a modern twist.
I guess I'm fascinated by it when I talk to. I've talked to him. I talked to a musician recently who said, when I was 10 years old, all I wanted to do was be a soul singer from the 50s. That's what I thought I would be.
Right.
That's all. I just wished I could go back then
Yeah.
and sing. And then but I thought of that in this age, right, where there isn't any genre signifier that really. I mean, we just listen with such open ears to everything, and all the bands you hear nowadays, the younger bands, they are creating in that realm where they've just been saturated by all the sounds. So this notion of like, well, the most radical example of this was like 20 years ago. People were like, I got a rapper on my metal song.
Right.
But that doesn't matter anymore. Like, no one is as shocked by that notion of like, I've incorporated this whole other genre into a sound of my own. We're just used to it. I mean,
everything's been mixed together.
yeah, just
Well-
the way the internet curates our experiences.
Now that indie rock is being eclipsed by the time that, indie rock is a very derivative genre. It takes a lot from established things, right, from the past. They're respected. And now that it's been big. 80s nostalgia has been big in music, I feel, in the last 5
sure.
years. But now that the 80s are getting fully excavated, it's like it's crossing over with the group that actually excavated it in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's meta. It's metaphysical.
Well, I
double.
do think there's Daniel Romano was on the show once talking about how he thinks time is a flat circle now. Whereas, like, if you think about it, okay, let's objectively suggest that you two look like you could be from the 70s
Sure.
because of your hair and your clothes and whatnot. And he was making this argument that in a real sense right now, there's no fashion. You remember when you used to look at photos of yourself
There's no
from like 15 years ago? You're like, oh God, that's what people were wearing then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if I look at myself in the 90s, which when I came of age, really, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't wear my hair like that then because I just didn't know what I was doing. But by and large, we've seemed to have been like, that's enough. Like, we can all just wear this, and I can still wear stuff I wore from like a collared shirt from the 90s.
Any era, really.
It's
Any era
combo.
now, and no one's like no one's really surprised by that anymore.
Yeah, but I wonder how it's going to look in 10 years. Like, we say that while we're
Yes, of course.
entrenched
Of
in
course.
it, like, I feel like maybe that total, like,
It does feel a bit slower, though, don't you think? Like,
Yes.
I do
Oh,
look
yeah.
at a photo of me from 15 years ago. I might have that same shirt still, and I could wear it and it'd be fine.
and it wouldn't feel like you're wearing something throwback.
I've never been a fashionable person.
Yeah.
Like, I've dressed fairly plainly, but I think a lot of people could say that now. Like, I pretty much don't look out of place wearing the same thing I wore 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean,
But the leap from the 70s to the 80s, for example, was so extreme.
dramatic.
Like, just
yeah.
the colors that were in and the kind of fabric and everything was just so radically different, right?
Yeah.
So I think time has stopped.
Well, I think so too. I wanted to say it's the second part of my little analogy about
Yes.
music.
Sorry for rambling there.
It's
No,
okay.
no.
No, it's that it it's no longer, you can't really derive anything like it's all been done, really. It's all been combined, or it should be in any
Don't
which
you
way.
feel like people have felt like that before, though?
Yes, I do, but it's like it's another level of it. It's like multiplication. It's
Well,
like Moore's law.
To Jessica's point, it's hard to frame what we're going through while we're in it.
Yeah, I feel that way. Yeah, but I mean, also maybe this is the first decade that I've thought about clothing or something.
Sure.
You know, like I've never been a person who has any idea at all. I probably read my first fashion magazine like a year ago. Or
Right,
something,
sure.
You know, so I don't really know anything about that stuff. So I find it like when I hear conversations like that, I'm like, I feel like we're just assuming that we're different, but in 10 years they're going to be like, oh god,
We give
Why
ourselves
was I
way too
wearing
much
that?
credit
Sure.
for being like onto something for ourselves. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we do this way, but it's like, I mean, like there's
We'll
totally
find
nostalgic.
out in 10 years how we do things now.
Right.
Talking
Right.
about throwback, like there's been times in the past where throwback was big, like to another era, just specifically that. And you know, I feel like,
Well,
I think that I've had the revelation for myself, but other people must have for themselves too.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that you thought there was a real 80s exploration, 80s music, and I think that happened. But I also think there was a real 90s
Oh, yeah,
music. A lot of
90s
the
too.
a lot of the more aggressive rock bands that are comprised of younger people
Yeah.
seem
Oh,
to be
yes.
drawing from the kind of
I feel like that's still happening right now.
Yes,
quite a lot.
it is,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
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 It's funny though, but I felt like also like 10 years ago in Edmonton,
Yeah.
that was happening. It
The
was like a 90s
sound,
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, I mean, it's just been a thing that's been around, I guess.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
comes in
It
waves.
comes in waves, and also of being more mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree. Well, I think we've talked enough about Light of Loving.
Sorry.
No. I think it raised some interesting points. Do you want to move on?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. We're going to go on to a very interesting song called Might As Well.
Sure.
You're keeping yourself a secret. You're sneaking out of the house to see if anybody's around, and you're losing yourself to detail, even talking about. The point is leaving everything out. There's a natural inclination, an unbelievable dream, until you pick at the seam, until you're far enough away that you might as well keep going.
You mentioned that during and waiting, you were kind of lying down on the ground in
Yeah.
a kind of almost lethargic position.
Yeah.
I get that vibe a little bit from the record as a whole. But does Might As Well fall into that kind of category of trying to sound laid back?
Not really.
Or
no.
resigned?
Yeah, I think I had like a voice in mind once we came up with this version of the song, because we have a couple different versions.
Yeah, of
it
course.
that didn't obviously make the record.
Might as well.
Yeah, remember I started it out with that riff, like it was so like. dee, 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 dee,
Oh yeah,
dee.
the song was so.
It was like
different.
laid
We had
back.
like
we had
congas.
double guitars and congas. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
like,
this one
Right.
sounded like really like Jack Johnson initially, but it was like, I just mean it was just super like.
I don't think it sounded
I
that
didn't
way,
sound
but
like
fine.
that. It didn't sound like that. I'm just.
It definitely
being
had kind of
hyperbolic.
like a more. It had a much more laid back feel at first, but then we just
Yes.
weren't getting where we wanted to get, and then we just were like, okay, let's record this again.
It's the refining process, really,
Yeah.
that we're talking about earlier. It's like, do we really want to put out something that sounds like this?
Yeah.
With some like galloping conga drums.
Well, and
it's
yeah,
just so funny.
Yeah, it's funny, and I think that it's funny about this song. I talked to a few people about the album, or I happened when I went back to Edmonton before we started doing the second version of it. I was chatting with people, and it kept coming up. Oh, we got congas on our new record. Not you and I, but like other
people
musicians I
saying
chat
that?
with, and then after a while, I was like, fuck.
You gotta
There's
take those
congos on my
congas.
record too. I
They
don't
just
know.
didn't sound
It
good,
just
though.
felt like
Right.
such a bro-y thing to do because maybe just
Sure.
for the
Throw
people
some
who were
congas on
saying
that
that too.
shit.
Yeah. But anyway, so then when we went back to it and we just like kind of rocked it, it was a lot more fun. And so then the vocal was supposed to be a little bit more pushy and a little bit more like
Oh,
you
okay.
know,
But
Yeah,
that's you
the
wanted
opposite
to
of that.
change the vocal, right, on this song, and I insisted that we keep this one. Is
this
that right?
take.
This take maybe.
Yeah.
Because you thought they were flat.
Well, they are a little bit flat.
Well, they are. Yeah, I guess so. But it's. I mean, I just thought it was fine.
No, it's really good, actually. Is there anything to this notion of you might as well?
Well, that was also kind of like one of the themes of this album is
you
you
might
might
as
as
well-
well.
You might as well try.
Yeah, exactly. You might as well try is the main theme of the album, and so that song kind of that's the anthem for going on with your life.
Is it is might as well the one with the studio patter? Or
No.
it's Such a Gemini.
It's Such a Gemini,
Okay, we'll
yeah.
get to that after. I was blanking on that myself. You know why? Because the record is sequenced. Like you have to go
Yeah,
this
you
way,
have to
but
go
I
that way.
and then I was just like, oh yeah, I was pretty sure I was wrong on that. Okay, anyway, is there anything else you want to say about Might as Well?
For those who care, it's one of the tape recordings on the record. I mean, it's not. I don't.
Sounds warmer.
Yeah.
It has that warmth.
Yeah.
You know, no. Actually, everything on this record is recorded through a tape machine.
Right.
But
I
not
don't
using tape.
don't always use the tape. It's just
What?
Yeah, the machine. I mean, I believe that it truly does impart a certain
It
characteristic on the
colors the
sound.
sound.
Absolutely,
Yes,
yeah.
it does.
And even without the tape involved, it just like sounds like this tape machine. It's kind of like an uncanny valley. And this is why I like it too. It's kind of like vintage, but it's just purely digital recording, so
Okay.
it has this modern quality.
Well, it's
Again,
Yeah.
with that kind of thing. Anyways, that's
This
not
song
it's
was
not an
recorded
important
too.
detail really.
No,
That's
but
one of the
it's,
tape
it's
recordings.
good. We're getting this is the behind the music that we're
I
doing.
mean, this is because it's behind the music.
Yes, that's
the
why.
only reason why I say
That's
Yeah.
fine. No, it's fair. We're going to move on to a real standout song on this album, Sterling Silver.
Hold too close your pulsing soul. You are the only dancer, all alone in sterling silver. Hold your smoke and cherry glow. With every breath, composure, all made out of sterling silver. If you feel the hunger, stare the memory empty saucer with its sheen of sterling silver. Sterling silver in the basement, leaving all the old vibration.
also a tape recording.
Oh, and wow. This has a.
It's more of the more synthetic song on the record.
It is
Yeah.
very synthetic,
Yeah.
and I think.
But all analog synths.
It's all analog in general. That whole song.
Yeah.
It's funny how that was.
Even the drum machine on it is
yeah, everything was
analog drum machine.
sequenced. Like we did it the old school way, actually.
this song is definitely wrestling with some temporal stuff, right? This notion of something old in the basement.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the song has. It's hard for me to speak to specific meaning behind this song in particular. There's three main references. One is a fella that Renee and I used to know named Sterling. One is listening to records in the basement and listening to Sterling Morrison from Velvet Underground.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
And then, I have to think about how to talk about this song because I don't know yet.
Okay.
But so I don't really know how to say what it's about.
Is it I gather it's a deeply personal song?
Well, yeah, but not in a way that I'm embarrassed to talk about it. It's just in a way that, you know, when your brain is more active than your mouth or something. Like it's hard for me to put it into
Hard to
words, I guess.
articulate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
but
I don't.
I'm gonna think about it.
I don't mean to pry too much, but I am curious about this relationship between having something valuable stored in your basement, and knowing that it has a history and it connotes something, and but to the person who maybe owned it or had experiences with it, but for anyone else, it's just a thing in the basement.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like a buried treasure,
Right.
or something,
Okay.
or not a buried treasure. It's like one person's trash is another person's treasure.
Right. Okay.
I find that a lot of trash is treasure
Okay.
or something.
Yeah. This again, I think
does my mom.
speaks to your interest.
And me.
Speaks to your interest in the past, but it is, as we discussed, a very synthetic song, possibly the most synthetic song.
Yeah.
I think superficially speaking.
And
Yeah.
where did that synthesis? That didn't make any sense. Where did that come from?
Well,
That
we did
impulse.
it the old school way. That song was also recorded 3 times.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
We
did it.
attempted it several times.
We did it with
man.
guitars, other guitars, sped up, and then we ended up on this.
We had this like
version.
Scott Walker-esque version of it.
Yeah.
That way
Right.
we knew it wasn't really, it didn't come across that way. That was the problem with it.
Yeah, but it was the song where even though we didn't use that version, and even though the Scott Walker vocals didn't work out that well, it was the song where I felt like I unlocked
Yeah, you
realizing
unlocked
how
the
to sing
key.
differently.
Right,
You know, like
right.
I hadn't been able to do that until I just tried to like belt it out, and then I was like, oh, okay.
It's
you
almost
can.
church. It has a church-like.
Yeah, the chords and stuff. are
Yeah, there's
very
something
churchy.
very,
It's
and even your
Christian.
delivery.
It's got some
I don't know if
Christian
it's Christian, but there's like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't describe it properly.
Yeah, no,
but
I know what you mean.
pads.
It's
Yeah.
like an
Major
airy. It's an
chords.
airy vocal. It sounds like it was. I'm hearing I can hear like church reverb
Mm-hmm, totally.
in it.
It's got a deep reverb on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just makes it sound like it's in a
a cathedral.
Cathedral.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's
Yeah.
what I mean.
church. The
Yeah.
church reverb setting on your reverb device.
Yeah, there probably
Sounds
is
like
one.
that.
Well,
Oh,
I
there's tons. That's,
Definitely feel
Yeah.
there's a little bit of Velvet Underground going seeping through all this record throughout the record. I thought, but this song for some reason really reminds me of something.
Oh, well, there you go.
Velvet
Sterling.
Underground. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, you mentioned Sterling Morrison, and
Yeah.
that's what I'd thought
Yeah.
of as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. We
So-
listen to a lot of Velvet Underground and Lou Reed all the
Yeah.
time. Even though it's not a specific reference point or anything, or it's not supposed to be. It just
No,
always
it's not-
ends up being what we land on.
It's
or-
not an obvious thing. It just
Yes.
I think it's there.
Awareness.
I
Yeah.
think it's there. Okay. Are we ready to move to side 2?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's move to side 2.
He said you're such a Gemini, as if I need reminding. My dissolute mind looks at it all, but from behind. I thought it would be better. He was such a perfect dancer. I don't dance though, and so we still couldn't have a dance together. I thought it would be easy. The idea was so pleasing, but a pattern doesn't last forever. That was just a season.
This song is called Such a Gemini. It's there's a lot of playful stuff going on this record, I think. And this song, like humor. There's humor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of humor. Tell me about the story behind Such a Gemini. I'm just curious. Where did this song come from?
It was going to be just like an interlude kind of throwaway track.
Yeah, this is the throwaway track
It
in our
is
minds.
The throwaway track, yeah.
But it's
So
become a fun live song.
I love
it's
playing it
grown
live,
on me a
actually.
lot.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me that this would be a throwaway.
People have asked me about this song since the album came out, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, why that track? It's
funny.
the throwaway.
We threw it together really quickly.
That's Jessica on all the keyboards too. That's like this is your keyboard
this
piece.
is my keyboard piece, yeah.
Which is also kind of a failed recording, this song, that we ended up overdubbing totally alternative like drum over the first recording.
We recorded the whole song and then we added a drum machine, but the drum machine, because it was analog and because we originally hadn't recorded it to a track, so the tempo wiggles around back and forth. So Renee was holding the speed knob on the drum machine and slowly trying to slow down as the song slows down and speed up as the song speeds up. It gives it this real like drunk
It's
kind of
woozy,
ambly feel.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was a really cool effect. I'm glad that
hard.
that you had that
It was
idea.
like beat matching a record.
Yes.
It was so much like that.
Yeah.
Do you believe in astrology?
I'm interested in it, but I don't know too
Peripherally.
much.
I wondered if you were making fun of it.
No, not making fun of it, for sure. Although, when we play it, I'm always like, oh, this one's for the Geminis.
Yeah,
and it
that's
seems
your
like
line.
a joke, but it's not really. I mean,
You're Gemini.
yes, I am Gemini.
See,
I
this
only
is-
know Leo because I'm that.
I get a little frustrated with people when they I'm doing something or saying something and they say, "Are you a Sagittarius?"
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
say
that's-
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And then they'll be like, I knew it. And I'll be
It's
like, what is
funny.
that? That's creepy. How do you know that? Like, why
Yeah.
do you know that?
Yeah, I mean, I would never
About-
debunk it, but it took me probably like, I probably was 18 or so before I even figured out which astrological sign I am, because I just could never remember. It wasn't something I was interested in. I
Right.
was like, I know it has a G, so it's either Virgo or Gemini, but that's all I
Or
know.
Sagittarius.
Or Sagittarius, there you go.
Right, yeah.
So it took me a long time to land on that. And actually, I was really annoyed when this person said to me, "You're such a Gemini."
Yeah, that sounds.
I
You
was
sound
like,
irritated.
What? Yeah. And I that was told to me last summer by somebody, and I was like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It seems like rude or
Right,
something, because
yeah.
when somebody's like, "You're such a whatever," it's usually not a positive.
Totally.
It's natural for a Gemini to be sensitive.
Oh God.
Just kidding. I just made that up. I don't even know, but I'm assuming that it is because you're a Gemini.
I am, yeah, and I have since paid a little bit of attention to the character sketches that astrological signs come along with.
Okay.
And I don't know. I'm interested in it, but I can't say that I'm a true believer.
Okay.
I think
that's
it's a self-fulfilled prophecy. People learn the stuff about their signs and then they take on those traits.
I think
in
so
life.
too. Yeah,
That's-
that's why I'm not that
part of
immersed in
it.
it. Yeah, myself. I don't want to become something that other people think I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they made you be that
it's
way.
very limiting.
I think so. You two engage in a weird sort of banter in the song where one of you thinks it's about waiting and the other one's rating. Why is this happening? And how is it documented? Is it
Okay,
a skit?
We have
So-
really funny. What should we talk? I mean,
I just wondered if it was like something you'd planned
It
to
is
do.
not a
It's
scripted
unplanned.
skit. So I'm working on a vocal in the vocal booth, and Renee is talking to me through the talkback mic. He's sitting at the board
Okay.
and talking to me through the talkback mic.
I record that talkback signal so I
he
can go back
records
and
it.
reference it.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
I
it
see.
drives me crazy sometimes because I'll be like really trying to get in the moment for a vocal, and he's like, "Okay, here it goes, rock and roll," and all of a sudden I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
But
That's
anyway,
frustrating.
we're always talking back and forth through the talkback mic, and we were really tired, and
Yes, we were tired,
we were a little bit,
inebriated.
Inebriated.
We had some substance, and I think we were a little bit out of it.
Uh-huh.
And
This
I
was
was
in Edmonton.
really working. This is in Edmonton. I was really working on getting a vocal take, and so we had recorded the same vocal over and over and over again. Not on Such a Gemini, actually. That was pilfered. From
Oh, it was a
another song.
different. Oh, I see.
We threw this in from another track.
I
Yeah.
see.
I had to scour all the sessions to find the studio banter.
Yes.
Actually,
It's funny how this verse is like your rating.
The what?
So like this is your rating,
The rating?
the rating point. You know,
The rating.
this is when we have a conversation. This verse.
Yes, that's true.
That's what I'm saying. This is the
Oh, I
rating
see.
verse.
This is like the waiting period.
We're
It's the
like-
waiting room.
No rating. We're rating the performance
Because we have this little section of
Yes.
time to talk about
Yes.
it.
Here we go.
Funny
But
all
I
the
have a
time.
take about it, which I've said to interviewers before about this particular banter, which, yes, was unscripted, but I just think it's a perfect example of my opinion of how our interactions are sometimes. It's like we're both like saying the exact same thing. Yes, this is the segment where we work on the vocal, but I'm thinking waiting. I'm picturing it as we're waiting for the next take to come up, so we've got a little downtime, we're waiting, and Renee's picturing it, rating it, judging it, rating it. This is our rating section.
Right.
And we're saying the exact same thing. Yes, this is our area where we talk about the vocal. I get it.
Oh, I get it. You saying that
But-
there's multiple levels that all make sense.
I'm just saying, like, we are frequently think we disagree when we're actually saying the same
Talking
thing.
about the same
Yeah.
thing. It's like a
But I
brother
was
sister
being more-
dynamic here,
Yes,
or what is
I
that?
think
being
so.
literal.
Actually, somebody asked us if we were siblings the other day at the bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, remember? She came up and said, "Are you guys
yeah, I
brother
remember
and
that.
sister?"
I guess we look like we're siblings.
Well, it's not the looks; it's the sound. I will say.
The sound?
Well, the way you're interacting and talking to each other is more. It
Interrupting each
has less to
other,
do with
being
your
rude.
physical appearance, is what I'm saying.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it has more to do with the way you engage. It has that familiar, vaguely annoyed,
That's probably about
totally love, like
like-
just total love, but total like
Yeah.
that weird family thing. That's what I'm picking up on. Okay, I just wondered about that. It's a great song, another
thank
great
you.
song.
And it's 100% authentic studio chatter.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I wondered how it was captured.
I
And-
think if that was scripted, that would make us seem like not very good at that kind of thing.
Does-
I hate that. That's a very actually throwing that part on the record. I want to say is
You didn't wanna
very
do it?
sensitive for some reason to me.
You didn't want to.
I just think it's so lame, almost in a way, to have it in the middle of a song,
it's at the end of the
It's at
song.
the
or
end.
like at the end of a song. But in my
Does it
mind, it was
relate-
a throwaway track, and I thought it would be funny to feature. Like we both thought it was funny.
Yeah, as
but we're
an
like, will
interlude.
people think this is funny or
Or are we just
or
high?
what? Or are we just high? Like,
Well,
like
it-
is this good to put on or is it stupid?
I know.
but it's about it is a little bit of, I think it fits within the communicative aspect of the lyrics. He said, "You're such a Gemini, as if I need reminding, my dissolute mind looks at what?
It all but from behind.
Looks at it all from behind. It's confusion." I
Yes.
couldn't even say it.
There's
a lot of confusion in the song about what is meant to be conveyed.
Well, that's
And-
even better then.
I think it
because there's
actually
another
fits.
an extra layer that
An
makes
extra
sense that I was
layer.
unaware of.
Yes,
It's
I
an
think I was
accidental-
wondering why it was in the song, if particularly since you said it came from another
it came
song.
from another song.
So
yeah.
I think now it makes more sense. We've broken the code.
It was just
Cute.
subconscious.
I really love it when like a song takes on a meaning way after. Like
Yeah.
you know that wasn't the plan, but it works.
I think it
perfectly.
actually works now that
Same
we've
song, but a
we've boiled it down.
different
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we move on now to the title track, which is called "Try."
Is it the strength of my emotion? Is it the weakness of my soul that keeps me laughing at the answer? I wanna cry about it though. I wanna cry about it. I don't think I could try to fight it.
Winky face.
Is it the strength of my? You say emotion, but the lyrics is emoticon.
Yeah, that's an Easter egg that you
Ah,
found.
yeah. Is it the strength?
That's another
of my
funny
emoticon?
thing that I don't want. Like, I was like, should we really put this stupid thing
Yeah.
on?
I
here?
noticed it, and we discussed earlier that there are some symbols and emoticons in
Yeah.
here. What is going on with you and emoticons, first of all, and emotions?
Well, the emoticon thing, which we were kind of touching on earlier, is just the fact is I like emoticons a lot.
You do.
I haven't fully embraced the emoji
Oh,
because it's just a picture. There's nothing creative. It's not using your text-based stuff.
And like they suck on certain websites, like Facebook.
Yeah.
They look dumb. Their art direction is bad.
I see.
You know what I
So
mean?
I do.
It varies.
Yeah, but we were talking about this before. It's funny to feel like using an emoticon as opposed to emoji is actually dated now. You know,
Yes,
like
it
that,
is.
That's dated. Just like us, we're like
We're dated, and using emoticons is modern in light of our music,
It's
but it's a
modern
double
dated,
layer.
yeah.
It's double
Yes,
dated.
yes,
exactly.
yes.
That's
Okay.
To develop on that a bit more, even. It's
Okay.
I just because I truly think there was a concept behind
Yes.
the artwork.
I agree. That's why I
And
asked.
everything,
I wondered
yeah.
if it
The
had something to
music.
do with it. Yeah.
Like And the music also, I mean, Try is a good example of a song that's supposed to sound like kind of modern and
Yes.
very retro simultaneously.
It's like the string synth is supposed to make it sound modern.
yeah, but then there's the filter at the end.
Yes, there's
which
the big
is
filter.
like over at like a Grateful Dead. You think it sounds like Sheryl Crow or something? What you're saying? There's a lot in there.
I think it has a 90s
Yeah.
kind of sound.
It's-
like,
yes,
you know,
yes.
when that filter sweep comes in and it's kind of like Primal Scream or whatever.
Yes,
or
or
like,
Fatboy Slim.
yeah, Fatboy Slim, yeah.
Here's another thing. When I listened to it, I heard the lyric as "we want to fall into the hole, fall into the hole." But in the lyric sheet, "hole" is WHOLE.
Yeah.
Is that another?
That is, I actually kind of was disappointed in language for doing this to me, where when I say fall into the hole, people assume that it means fall into a hole in the
Hole.
ground. Like, I want to talk about falling, as in, you know, relinquishing into a whole, WHOLE experience. But I know that it seems like it's just sort of a clever sort of like, ooh, fall into
Yeah.
the hole. It seems
A
like
pun.
it's a pun, but it's really not. I actually don't
Makes you seem worse at lyrics than you actually are.
Is this
The English language does.
is this a
Sure, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The English language disses you. On
It
this.
disses me.
is try would you say Try is inspired or potentially about sort of an online existence?
An online existence.
When I
well,
just-
yes, for sure. You could take that bent. I mean, like the it's like a little more. Most of the lyrics or the phrases, for me, have more of a broad meaning. Just the feeling of disconnection. So yes, I mean, online existence would be the biggest example of
Yeah.
that feeling, I guess.
When you say fall into the hole, I just thought of the whole universe of the internet.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And again, I'm just
Yeah.
I'm not working on a master's thesis on this album or anything, but I know it seems that way.
No, not at all.
But there's just something about even that little Easter egg you mentioned, emoticon. There's just something very like technological about this song.
Yes, I think like I
It's
never.
recorded on tape.
No.
I think
It's the third one.
Okay.
that might just be
three.
the natural reality of what the internet has done to me, or what I have done to myself via the internet.
We reconnected for a second, then the connection took its toll.
Oh yeah, that also sounds like an internet.
There's a lot of. It's just about modems.
Oh,
it's
you're
just
right.
a-
Actually, this
Yeah.
is a song about the internet. It's my ode to internet.
Should have put a modem sound at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Again, it must be. I imagine it's very strange to hear someone try to interpret your song in front of you.
No,
get it
I
from
love
Mitch all the
it. I
time.
love it. And yes, our bandmate does it all the time.
Well, that's what I think is happening.
well, yeah, that is
Okay.
apparently it
Great
is.
level.
Okay,
That's
that's
a great new
one.
level.
That's something that could be happening.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
into that level. Our next
Because there's an emoticon in it, though, it makes it already so computer.
Yeah.
So now that this level has been discovered,
Thank you.
Well,
by the
there's
way.
also
it
like
already gets married to the emoticon.
the
so
recurring
nicely.
notion of I don't think I could try to fight it is how I often feel about my phone
Yeah.
and my computer
Yeah.
and my impulse to go to these things.
Yeah.
Sometimes before saying hello to my family.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
of
better get
course.
on those things, and I had an idea that I
And
want to
see
get some
what
likes.
Your, like second cousin is doing. or
Yes.
something.
No, I don't care about
Yeah.
that. I just want to make a joke and see
Yeah,
if
my
anyone
second
likes
cousin.
it.
What is my second cousin doing?
Yeah, we got to find out.
On my
I just
phone.
mean sometimes you see the most irrelevant to your life shit before you even get out of bed. you
Yes.
know?
Yes,
You just-
exactly.
you
That's
just-
right. Because your phone's
You
there.
wake up in the morning and you find out, oh, Taylor went
like
for a
junk
walk
mail.
yesterday. Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
Like,
Information
yeah,
junk
yeah, yeah.
mail.
yeah, it's information junk mail, and there's so much of it.
Right.
And we do it to ourselves, but also it's done to us, I think.
Well, I think that's what. Anyway, I don't know if this is accurate or if there is a right answer, but that's one reading of that song.
Definitely
Okay.
Right. There's
I
some
think
right
that's
answers
cool.
in there
Okay.
for sure.
Thank you. I'm glad I was able to help.
Nice
you.
analysis.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to get an A on this paper. All right, now we move on to a song called Second Time.
There were times I fell asleep, and asleep I saw something that wasn't true, a truth I manifest into. The first time I thought it over time I thought it through. Though it only took a second, the second time I knew
There were times I feel asleep, and asleep I saw something.
It's the deal with this song.
What is going on second time?
I haven't actually ever told anybody what this song is about, and I don't know if I ought to, but I will speak to some of the lyrics, I guess. So
You're a little secretive.
The secrets are in the songs.
No, I know, and I'm trying to unravel them.
I'm not like afraid of people knowing what I'm trying to say, although I know it sounds that way.
No,
You
It's
just never have to
just-
tell them. You never have to confirm the truth. So it's your power is in your hands.
well, I presume that you're on your guard because some of the songs are about real people or real situations.
Well, or just like, sensitive material, not necessarily about not about. Okay, second time is about having a sex dream about the same person 3 days in a row. Okay.
Okay.
That's why I didn't want to say.
Damn.
Wow. Okay.
So
Wow.
there
We
you go.
broke.
You know
through
what?
there.
I gotta say
Wow.
that so Jessica's lyricism is very. You have a style, okay,
Yes.
and it's very you. I don't know how to describe it because I'm very bad with words.
No, your words are funny because Renee will make up words that aren't words to fit within the song. Or grammar. Like he has a
That's
song
like my
called
6-year-old
Could Have
son.
It Been Me instead of Could It Have Been Me.
Right.
because
Could
it
have
sounds
been
better.
me. 'Cause
Right.
It sounds better.
It's
Exactly.
got more of a rhythm.
Yeah.
Well, there's a rhythmic aspect to the singing here. The second time I knew. Like there's just there's nice little lyrical flourishes there that I
Yeah,
appreciate.
that's kind of fun. Like this song is so basic that the way that we tried to. I wanted this.
This is one of the earlier ones.
It is.
Also, this is
Yes.
like Waiting. It's one of the earlier cuts
Yeah.
from our very first session.
Yeah, totally. And it was kind of going to be a bit of a. It felt like it was turning into a throwaway as well. Originally,
Big time.
there's a line, "So beyond surrender, every moment surrenders too," and we originally wanted to write the song or make the song sound like a Cheap Trick song, and then joked about how we're saying that we're better than Cheap Trick surrender
we're so
because we're
beyond
so beyond
surrender.
surrender.
Yeah. There's a few. This is another song that has kind of a. I think there's a couple of things on this record where it's like a bump,
Yeah.
bump, like that kind of thing going on. I hear that. From
But
time
then
to
it
There's
time.
gets
lots of-
pushed.
it's a
Then the next
push.
one is like bump. Ba-da-da.
Yeah.
I don't know why we
That's
do
the
that
Cheap
on this
Trick thing.
album all the
That's-
time.
But it was just that part really of this song where it was like, okay, so for me, I feel like this is like a Blue Mask tribute in a way.
Yes. it
Ah.
is. Yeah.
So,
the bass.
but I'm not personally a giant Lou Reed fan,
Yeah.
but I am very
You
exposed
just
to Lou
accept
Reed.
my Lou Reed
Right.
fandom.
Oh, totally. And I
Yeah.
have another friend who I play music with a lot, Christian North, who is also a diehard Lou Reed fan.
Right.
And so I like to try. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like I
two
want
of your
you to
close
like.
friends
yeah.
are really into
It's
Lou
it,
Reed,
it's
so
totally
you
influenced me.
Right,
Also, I've been
sure.
more influenced by Lou Reed than
via
the actual,
us. Yeah.
than the actual.
Interesting. Okay.
Sure.
And do you bring this up because it's present in this song?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
I think this song is like a tribute to Blue Mask in a way.
Okay.
But it's just like my interpretation of what a tribute to Blue Mask would sound like.
Well,
But
in Lou Reed's
our,
album
I guess.
Blue Mass, there's just tons of fretless
Yeah,
bass.
it's got fretless
Right.
And
bass.
this song has fretless bass. That's all we're trying to
Okay.
say.
I see.
basically.
Okay.
Blue
Well, I
Mask is like one of these records I've gathered from Lou Reed fans that's like one of the better ones or something
Yeah.
like that. But that
Oh, but
that you
lyrically,
hate
one
it.
of the worst.
you have to hate it at the same time. or
Right.
something.
Shooting with the gun. Bam. Watch me. It's so stupid.
It's the I Love Women album.
Yeah, it's I Love Women. I think they're great. That's another great lyric of Lou Reed's.
R.I.P. Lou Reed.
Yeah.
We should say that just at the
Yes.
end of that little
R.I.P.
joke
R.I.P.
fest. Yeah.
Lou Reed.
No. All right. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay. We move on to the penultimate song. Usually at this point in this exercise, I ask people how they're enjoying the exercise. Is this okay? Are you,
fine.
I'm enjoying it.
you're enjoying
We
it?
could really get so deep into this shit.
Yeah, but I feel like we
We're
sometimes need
keeping
to be
people
reined
waiting
in a little
the,
bit.
in the parking lot.
Jess has definitely been keeping her distance a little bit.
Oh,
We
really?
just got a big reveal in the last one.
Am I talkative?
No,
No,
no, no,
you're doing
I think
great,
she's
yeah.
being careful. I think it's totally valid.
Right, I just
yeah.
blah, 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 but I'm only talking about the sound.
No,
we
no,
have
no.
different
Not a big deal.
personalities.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think it's good to because you also don't want to give people, people should have the ability to make their own
Oh, yeah.
It's fine, yeah.
interpretation.
Totally.
Okay, this was a song I alluded to earlier because it has a massively memorable guitar solo.
Yeah.
It's called Suffering Creature.
Creature.
this song was written at Renee's house the last day of tracking. I took 1 month and went to his house, and we tracked for a month.
And we were very lazy.
We were very lazy, so on the last day we were like, "Oh shit, we are not done this
need to
record."
work.
Right.
So
And we pulled that out of our ass.
we pulled that out of our ass.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, not lyrically, though, right?
No, I didn't have the lyrics ready because we just were like, I was kind of like feeling a bit down, like, oh, the month is over and we didn't finish the record. I was really hoping we would finish, but I was unprepared and things just didn't come together. And we hung out too much. And then,
Wait, is this song about you?
well, I mean, yes, a little bit. There's a lot. So there's a line in there where, I'll just go through the whole line, basically.
Sure,
So, because I can't remember it. This is like when we have to practice and we're like, take it from the
I
first
have the lyrics
verse, and
right
I'm
here
like,
if you
yes,
need to.
I'll
Yeah,
take that.
yeah.
Thank
They're in
you.
very tiny print on the CD there, but yeah.
So, and the shivering fit that took over you as you left the cool lake, and I stayed. I had taken to it, and I wanted to stay, and to feel the tongue of the snake. So it's like I'm talking to myself, basically.
As Grace Slick.
As Grace Slick, yeah. Yes.
Some kind of, or Jim Morrison maybe.
Yeah.
There's something going on there. Okay, yeah, you're talking to yourself.
Yes. So, I mean, the song is talking to it. It's the non-suffering creature version of myself.
I see.
Berating the suffering creature version of myself.
Suffering creature.
Renee hated suffering creature at the beginning as a chorus. He thought it
Yeah.
was lame.
Oh,
But
you didn't like
it
it?
totally grew on me.
It's, yeah.
I just had to think about it for a while.
Well, I can see that. Yeah, sure. That's the way most things are. You got to think about them for a little bit.
Let it stew.
Right.
But so anyway, the song, the instrumental version of this song, which had no lyrics at all, we recorded
We
on the
just
very
recorded
last day
some
just to
stuff.
have something to work with.
Okay.
And then I went back to Edmonton, and then before Renee came to Edmonton to finish working on the record, I had like listened to it a bunch and
Yeah.
came up with these lyrics for it. So it was kind of like one of the odd times where the music preceded the lyrics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, since I've made such a big deal, tell me about the guitar solo.
Well, it, like all the other solos on this record, are just improvised. And that was just a really good one, I guess.
Yeah, it's a really good
I
one.
listened back to it and thought the exact same thing. But what
does that mean? You thought what the exact same thing as me?
That it's the best one on the record.
Yeah, it's very good.
The rest of them
Yeah.
are like, I mean, I'm not the greatest guitar player in the world, but I like to play guitar.
Yeah,
and I just
like Renee for leisure time after we're finished working on the record, for instance, he'd just go in the basement, jack his amp up as loud as he could, and just
Shred.
jam with
Yeah.
himself all night. I'm like, why
It's
are
inspiring.
you doing
It's
that? I
inspiring.
think it is inspiring,
Yeah.
and I think I also don't think you're the greatest guitar
No,
player in the
I'm
world. but
terrible.
I think you're a great guitar player.
No, I'm not trying to berate or rate myself at all. I'm just saying that like
So-
I liked playing improvised solos. I think that's the main thing is like that there's something about improvising that a better quality comes out in the musician.
Right.
But you have to like really refine that quality.
Yeah,
And I
by
think
practicing.
by
a
practicing
bunch.
and just knowing what you're doing. And so I don't really know what I'm doing. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Right.
I have maybe somewhat developed knowledge of the neck of a guitar.
So, in the live formation of your band, are you
I
playing
play
guitar?
lead.
You're playing guitar. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so
And
I
improvising all the
improvise all the
solos
solos,
live
and
as well.
some of them are terrible.
So
Like it's true.
you win some, you lose some.
Sure.
You totally win some and lose some, and we'll just do takes of solos and stuff, and just try to go for the best feeling solo. And that one, just like then we'll just listen back usually and just like pick out the one that sounds the best. And we might even edit like a part of one solo into
Yeah, we've
another.
Right.
comped some solos.
We've comped
Yeah.
before, but typically it's just something.
Well, it's just great. I just think
That one's just really good. I agree.
It's
I
very
hit
good.
it. It's
Yeah,
like I hit it better than the rest of the solos.
Well,
on
no,
the
I'm not.
record.
This is not meant to disparage any other solo. I just think that one's particularly good.
I
In
just-
the pantheon of guitar solos, I would
Yeah.
say this stuck out.
Thank
It's out
you.
there.
Yeah.
But I do think though, because I'm a purist, because I don't want to comp. If you're doing a big live solo and it's mostly good,
Yeah.
if it's like like for example the solo in Try, which is this big epic thing at the
Yes.
end,
Yes.
right? It's also
That solo's comped though.
no, it's not.
Oh really?
The whole solo is just me noodling.
I thought it was first half and second half, but I'm wrong.
No, I kept on going.
Okay.
Guys,
I just-
settle down.
I love that solo, but it's not
Try.
perfect. And try,
Yeah.
and there's like a few notes where I don't really quite hit the note.
Sure.
But I don't want to just replace them
Yeah.
because
No,
it
it's
would
good.
take away its authentic.
I remember
just
that
because
solo
it's
as well.
improvised. It's, anyways, I'm a purist
I
in that way.
appreciate that it's improvised.
And when you hit a solo that's that good on your song, like
Yes.
in that song,
Yes, I've really
it's
struck a
just
nerve
like
here,
you
haven't I?
really, No, I just think it's true. It's like
Yeah.
that's you could be so proud
It's
of
like I
that.
ignited a volcano.
No, but it's the reason why I like to improvise.
Yeah.
Like because when you actually do it well, you can feel good about yourself.
Sure.
You can't really feel as good about just performing something that's pre-written.
Yeah, because
As much.
it
There's
says
another
because it's
layer.
not instantaneous. There's less immediacy. It's not something you conjured. If you, I
It's
mean,
not something you
a
conjure
composition
up.
is something you would conjure to some degree, but to actually have mics set up and for it all and tape rolling or whatever your
Yeah.
computer, and to have that all happen while you came up with something totally made up, I understand why you're like that's
Well,
magical.
Just feel extra good about yourself.
And,
Yeah.
and I
Of
think it
yourself.
comes out in the sound too. Like I think that sounds like a totally improvised guitar solo.
It does.
In the sense that you get all of the energy. You don't because otherwise it's going
Well, that's
from
why I like it.
your brain to your hands rather than. I mean, I know
It
it's
just comes
always
straight from the
your-
heart.
Yeah, yeah.
I always think that the best music comes straight from your heart, straight to your fingertips.
Sure.
And then just out.
Well, I'm not.
It's just blah.
Yeah, and I'm not technically adept enough to know whether you played the right solo. I'm just saying the way it made me feel.
Right.
Every time it's played, I've been like, "That's a good solo." I just say it out
Sorry,
loud to
we
whoever's
don't have to
listening.
get it more
No,
into
I
it.
just
now.
say it's a good solo. Anyway, it's a great song. Another great song.
Thank you.
All right, we are here at the end of the record, which is called "Best Saved for Last."
So many billions living in our midst, and yet I try to look my best. And not one of the billions rest on me when I am ready and aware, and quickly reach to fix my hair. If best is saved for last, I will last to say begin again so fast. It changes fast, it changes fast and change me back and fading. I feel like it's over lately. I feel like it's over lately.
Do you see my son loves your record so much that he's smeared goo from there's chocolate on it, and he just insists on it being in the car. And he was very obsessed with why the UPC code was blacked out yesterday.
That's a teachable moment.
I said, "Oh, well, it's a promo.
Yeah.
They don't want you to sell it." He's like, "Well, what does that mean?" I'm like, "Well, you know when you go to the grocery store and I put the banana, they put the banana through and it goes like beep. They're using the code." He's like,
Yeah.
"Well, what does the code tell them?" I'm like, "It just tells them what it is." It just got very complicated.
Yeah, because
So
it's
now
a
I
hard thing to learn.
he actually said they blacked out the phone number. That's what he
Aw.
said. My son, he's
Yeah.
6. Anyway,
What is he?
he's 6.
6.
Yeah,
Okay.
loves the record. Anyway, it's all. I've been talking a lot
the
about my
kids.
son. I talk a lot about my son now because we listen to music together often.
That's awesome.
It's good, but I feel like I get a little self-conscious. And now I'm talking about often on the show. I talk about how I'm now self-conscious about being self-conscious because I keep talking
I
about it so
see.
much.
I do the exact same thing.
Oh, do you talk about my son? See, this is why I'm weirded out.
Talk about your son.
Anyway, best saved for last. The reason I pointed all of this gook on out is because I could barely read the title on the inside
Yeah,
because
I
there's just
know.
like
It's
crumbs
very
and stuff
hard
on
to
it.
read.
But it's cursive.
It's cursive.
Why did you do
It's-
this to us?
Well, it's Beggar's Banquet
It's the-
font.
Yes, it is.
The artwork also, it was a very like, it's just okay, like in the past, all of the records that we've done in the past, the artwork is total like afterthought.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I had the idea. There's this album by a band called Angel City, which is just like a pair of eyes that are like sort of fade
Yeah.
into a black background, and it's like got light shining on it.
Oh.
And I was like, my concept was, I want this album cover, but with a wink instead of with just like intense looking eyes.
Emoticon wink.
Exactly.
Yes,
But
okay.
but I didn't have the idea of putting it into like emoticon shaped. I just thought the eyes would be
Oh,
winking. You know,
okay.
it wasn't as fleshed out. But then once
There
we
were some prototypes.
yeah, there were
Right.
some prototypes. Once we
It's more
finally
zany than this.
yeah
This is very tidy.
yeah, I had to say no to the zany.
You had to say no to the zany. Sometimes you have to say no to the zany. That's just the way life is. Okay, let's talk about Best Save for Last. It's the last song on the record. It's clearly the best song on the record because you saved it for
Clearly, yeah.
the last.
The very best.
Jessica, do you want to talk about this?
Sure. I mean, it's just like a pretty basic song about, you know, trying not to search for something, I guess. And I think that this song to me sounds it's the most congruous with Cosmic Troubles.
Sure.
I think that it's kind of like the song that says like, oh, you know, not that the whole record sounds that vastly different or anything like that, but I just,
Yeah.
I thought like that song would fit on either album. And it's kind of like oh yeah, this is still the same band kind of thing,
Sure.
I guess. And it's
How did that one come to be? It used to be like the.
it sounded a little 90s when we first
It
started.
was that was one of the first songs that we
Yeah.
did also, right?
This one.
So that
Yeah.
and like Waiting and Second Time are all kind of from the same
yeah,
era.
original sessions.
And they all had this similar kind of laid back, whatever, really kind of boring sound in the beginning.
Yeah, well, I like with most of the songs on the album, I demoed them.
Sorry.
I demoed them at home first with just using software instruments on like GarageBand, and so because I'm not even remotely adept at recording, every song just had this kind of like 80s like do chi do do chi like drum
Right.
beat to it, and
Right.
then I would just play the chords over it, sing some lyrics, and then send that to Renee and be like, okay, this is one of the songs. This was in the preparation for starting to record the album.
But there was great. This is something that really determined the path of this record from the early on. Was I lacked, in my mind, or for whatever reason, a frame of reference based on your demos, because she had demoed all these tracks,
Right.
and they did have a very 80s sound.
But specifically because of my
Yeah, the setup.
ability, you know, I don't have like mics to record any live instruments or anything like that. Most of the
Exactly.
vocals I sang into a pair of headphones as a microphone instead.
Right, right.
But Jessica and I have dabbled with 80s kind of aesthetics in the past, just for fun.
Yep.
Like as early as like that
Swinging
swing and party
Swingin'
thing
Party,
that we
yeah.
did. We did a Replacements cover with a real gated drum thing.
very 80s.
That's one of my son's favorite songs.
Oh, you
really?
should show 'em the
Swingin'
cover
Party,
if
yeah,
you
there's
want.
There was a period there. It's ended, but every night for like 3 years, I had to sing them "Bastards Are Young."
Oh, that's nice.
We would sing it together at bedtime.
There you are about your son again.
Yeah, sorry. You mentioned Swing and Party. I'm a big Replacements fan, so
Of course.
Yeah.
Likewise, I
Yeah.
am too.
they're great. And the one, and I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No, you didn't.
but since you bring up the Replacements and Paul Westerberg, I want to ask you a little bit about your lyricism, because I know I've said a few flattering things throughout this process, but I really want to get like here. There's in this song, when it starts fading, you shouldn't try to chase it. A hunter isn't hunting if the prey is not evasive. That's brilliant. That's
you.
a very
I'm glad you
nice.
like it.
I am a sucker for a good lyrical turn of phrase. Tell me about your background with lyrics and poetry, maybe even. What are you inspired
Sure.
by?
I mean, okay, so I've talked about this before a little bit with friends, just how late I was coming to the, getting to know the world, basically, because I didn't have a lot of friends. I grew up in the country, and we didn't have a computer until I was like 17. And we weren't allowed to watch TV. I didn't have a CD player. I just had like a little radio that you could listen to. My mom didn't know could tune into TV stations, so I could listen to TV shows, but I couldn't watch them.
Right.
Anyway,
TV on the radio.
so,
I used to
it
do
is
that
TV
too.
on the
I used to do
radio.
that when I
Yeah.
worked at midnight shifts at a gas station. I could always get Global, so on Saturday nights I
Just,
could
like,
listen to Saturday Night
watch
Live.
the show with
yeah.
your ears.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny, yeah. But like, so I was really disconnected. I felt like from people, and probably that just because I didn't have that many friends, and I think that probably made me an introvert if I wasn't naturally one already. And so then you're looking for community, but you're shy, so it's really hard. So we got a computer when I was 17, and I found a poetry forum.
Oh, okay.
It was called Literary Kicks. And I have no idea. I haven't tried to find it or anything, but this was a long time ago, right? So I don't think that threads still work the same way
Right.
it did. But it's like, one of those forums. Somebody introduced an
Message
idea.
board.
It's like, a message board.
They
yeah.
still exist.
Yeah, so people would just write their poetry, right? So I signed up, but I used a fake name, and I didn't say anything about who I was or whatever. I didn't give any personal details because I was like, a teenage girl on the internet.
Absolutely,
And
yeah,
I didn't,
yeah.
also the internet was much different then than it is now. But I wrote all this poetry, and then I'd post about it, and then these people would, get back and forth to me and blah, blah, blah. And then,
What do you mean get back and forth to you? Would they critique it?
Yeah, we would talk about each other's poems.
I
and
see,
stuff
okay,
Like that.
yeah.
And
That's sweet.
it
That's
was
cool.
sweet, yeah. I mean, I
You
really...
basically did what I always dreamed I could do for becoming better at lyric writing, but you just did it.
Did you know about this before this moment?
No,
You hadn't
But
heard this before.
I hadn't heard this before, but I always wished that there was like a forum that you could
Yeah.
go on and like refine lyrics with like-minded people.
Well, it might still be up there.
I know, but you found it.
Poetry Kicks?
Yeah, I did find it.
Poetry Kicks?
Literary
Literary
Kicks.
Kicks.
Yeah, and
.org, I bet.
yeah, probably. I don't even
I don't know if
remember.
it
It was modem time, that's for sure.
The modem
But
days.
I had a fake name which was W. Lowe, which was supposed to be William Loman, which is this guy from a play.
Death of a Salesman?
Yeah, Death of a Salesman.
A play?
Yes, a play.
One of the
This
most
little
famous
play.
plays of all time, yes.
But I used to be hard on myself because I felt like I lied a lot. Like I felt like
Just like
I
Willie
lied
Loman,
to-
kind of.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I was on this forum, I signed up as Willie W. Lowe.
Yeah.
And then the people thought that I was like an older man. I
Uh-huh.
realized like a couple years later that like towards the end of me being on the forum, that was like, oh, you're a young woman from Canada? Oh, that's weird. I thought you were blah, blah, blah. And then I remember like being so proud of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought about this the other day. Like, it's not
you're
right for
proud
me to
of
be
being an
proud
old
to be
man.
mistaken for an old man. That's some
You can be proud of that, though. It's
well,
like you were
you
wise.
ought not to be.
Yeah,
I think.
sure.
But
It's a little weird, but sure.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
they just thought you were wise, though. They don't know what you look like, so they just
Right.
judged you based on your.
I know, but should we consider old men the only source of wisdom?
Yes,
No,
that's a
I'm
good
just
point.
talking
That's
more
a good
about
point.
age.
Yeah.
Or
I'm just talking more
Yes,
about
yes.
age.
Age
I
experience.
think, yes,
understand that.
I think Renee's trying to suggest that they thought you were more advanced in age and experience than you were.
I think that's why I felt
And-
proud about it.
Yes, of
is
course.
Because I was like, oh, they think that about me. Hee hee, that's cool. And so that's when I started, just being sort of really obsessed with poetry. And I
Right.
thought I was going to write. I thought I was going to be a writer. I signed up for like creative writing school and stuff like that.
How
But
old?
then, like right out
17?
of 17 is when I
18.
started the forum, and
Right.
then 17,
Oh, okay.
18, and then when I graduated, I signed up for the creative program, writing program at Grant MacEwan in Edmonton, and I dropped out before I even began because I just went on a canoe trip instead.
And then,
But then I was just always kind of obsessed with poetry and stuff, and eventually translated into music.
Okay, so your background is poetry.
Yes,
This is-
exactly. That was
that-
a very long,
No,
rambling answer.
well, it's fascinating. That's fascinating because, but you mentioned Willie Loman there, but I mean, that doesn't come from poetry. Do you have poetry or songwriting heroes per se?
I think I do, or I have line, like, whoever wrote this line, that's a sick line or whatever. I mean, the lyrics really stick out to me with a lot of artists. I mean, of course, Leonard Cohen, it's kind of like, it seems like a platitude to say that, but I was really obsessed for a long time
Yeah.
with Leonard Cohen and with Bob Dylan. Both, I think, really great lyricists, but kind of obvious.
Kind of.
classics.
I think almost to
yeah.
the point where people take them for granted.
Yes, totally. Yeah. I mean, I remember even when like Old Ideas, Leonard Cohen's not latest
Yeah.
album, but the less critically acclaimed one before that came out, like the music was. I remember listening to it and being like, "Holy shit, he's still writing this great,
Yeah.
these great." Like, I didn't care for the musical aspect of it as much, or the production, I should say, but like every line, I was like, damn, it's
Yeah.
still so good.
Yeah.
So I guess he would be my lyrical
Okay.
hero.
Well, I mean, whoever it is and whatever it is, I'm just glad that you have been drawn to whatever you're drawn to, frankly, because this faith healer band is amazing.
Thank you
So
very
thank
much.
you, thank you to whomever. For more information about this, thank you for this. I hope this was fun.
No, it was very fun.
Really fun.
Okay,
Thank
good.
You.
So for more information about your band, I mean, I know that this record, Try, is out on Mint Records, and people can go to mintrex.com for more info about that stuff. Where do you want people to look for you online? You have kind of a weird
Twitter.
Google it.
You have
Twitter.
a weird, you have a
Twitter's
weird
definitely
Twitter.
the place.
Weird Twitter handle.
I have a weird Twitter handle, and maybe that's why I have no followers. but it's Faye Thieler, but said like Faye and then Thieler. My sister's middle name is Faye, and I've always been jealous of that. I
So
think
how do you
it's a nice
spell
name.
the handle?
I should say that right.
Please.
So it's at FAYETHEALER.
Marketing nightmare.
Yeah.
You have to get approved. That's what you got to get. The official.
Oh, the
account or whatever. And then
verified.
it might help people search it.
Yeah.
Maybe, or I could change my handle. I don't know. I just
No, it's fine. We've told people now. It's too
Yeah,
late
they'll
now.
know now.
Yeah, it's too late now.
It's true.
Is there a single song? We've been talking about all the songs. Is there a single song we can play for people right now that you would both agree is a nice way for them to get into the record?
I think they should. We think they should check out the title track. Try.
Yes, it's got the most goodies.
Yeah,
The most goodies.
It's got the most goodies.
because
Okay.
it's long.
No, well, yes. It's long, but it's truly like, it's a
It's got some
centerpiece.
Easter eggs in it on the lyric
Yeah,
sheet, at
it
least.
does.
Yeah. Okay. This is the title track from this excellent record by Faith Healer. It's called Try. Jessica Renee, thank you so much for being on this show, and best of luck with everything going forward.
Thank you.
You as well.
Is it the strength of my emotion? Is it the weakness of my soul that keeps me laughing at the answer? I wanna cry about it though. I wanna cry about it. I don't think I could try
Thanks again to Jessica and Renee of Faith Healer for being on this, the 371st episode of Creative Control, which is part of the Entertainment One Podcast Network and available on all your finer podcast platforms. If you can't find an episode that you're looking for, or you want to learn more about me, or sign up for my regularly scheduled newsletter, please visit vishkhanna.com. You can like Creative Control with Vish Khanna on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at VishCreative, or follow me at Vish Khanna. You can also listen to a radio show version of Creative Control on Wednesdays at noon Eastern Standard Time around the world on CFRU.ca or on an actual radio at 93.3 FM if you're in or near Guelph. Also, please visit patreon.com/Creative Control to make a flexible monthly donation to keep this podcast going. It's much appreciated. Thank you to, as of this episode, Matt Collins. Thank you, Matt Collins, for your recent donation. That's very kind. Thank you, Matt. Thanks to all of you who pledge. Please consider pledging if you haven't already done so. This episode would not be possible without you, of course, but also our sponsors, Pizza Trocadero, whom you can call for pickup or delivery in Guelph at 519-829-2444, or check them out at trocaderoguelph.ca. The Bookshelf, an independently owned bookstore, bar, music venue, and movie theater located at 41 Quebec Street in Guelph. Learn more about them at bookshelf.ca. Planet Bean, freshly roasted, fair trade, certified organic coffee. For more information, visit planetbeancoffee.com. Grandad's Donuts, located at 574 James Street North in Hamilton, Ontario. Amazing donuts. Visit granddads.ca for more info about them. Hey, if you want a whole meal's worth of ingredients delivered right to your Canadian home, visit hellofresh.ca and use the promo code Creative50, that's creative with a K, 50, Creative50, all one word, and you'd get 50% off your first order. That's again, hellofresh.ca, Creative50, save half off your first order. And FreshBooks, a cloud accounting software for small business owners. Try it free for 30 days. Go to freshbooks.com/Creative Control, and in their How Did You Hear About Us section, enter Creative Control. That's creative with a K and control with a K, all one word. And you can try FreshBooks for free for 30 days. All right, that's another episode of Creative Control. More to come. Thank you for listening to this one. Please do tell your friends about it. Rate, review the show on all your favorite podcast platforms, and follow us on all those things. Share episodes. Whatever you can do to help, I would appreciate it. But thanks first and foremost for listening to this show. And if you're new to the show, there's lots of, this is, like I say, 371st episode. I mean, we have lots of episodes, a wide variety of episodes and guests that I'm sure you might find intriguing. Anyway, thanks again for listening. I will talk to you soon. Goodbye for now.